Are the New York Knicks going to make a trade before the season gets rolling? Sure does seem like they are gearing for that. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We talk about trade rumors all the time on this channel because that's what I get paid to do. I get paid to talk about the latest news and rumors surrounding the Knicks. But in today's video, I went on a deep dive into the internet and I found a couple trade ideas that other publications put out there for the Knicks. And then inside the Chat Sports studios, we came up with 3 trade ideas. And I'm going to tell you if I'm going to accept or decline those trades. First, though, let's look at what we got in our own backyard. We know the Knicks starting 5 is going to be what it is with Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Robinson, and Randle. You still got Quickley as your backup point guard. You got Dante DiVincenzo, who's going to be your 2-3 backup. Hart's going to be your 3-4 backup. And then you got Hartenstein and Sims as your big man backup. But I want to think about it like this. Is there a world where Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Quickley, DiVincenzo, and Hart all get the minutes that they need or deserve? And I don't know if that's actually possible. You have a 9-man rotation right now, but either way, we're going to be looking like if this is the team the Knicks are rolling with in the upcoming season, there's going to be nights where we're going to be like, Grimes needed more minutes, Barrett needed more minutes, Quickley needed more minutes, DiVincenzo or Hart. And who's going to be a part of that starting lineup? It's never a problem having too many good players, but I truly do believe the Knicks are prepping for a trade, and a big trade at that. And they have been working towards this moment for far too long. Since Leon Rose has come into office, they have been building for a trade. And the reason I do believe that is all the first-round picks that they have acquired, but also the addition of DiVincenzo. Well, I think it makes the Knicks a better team, no doubt about it. I don't know if it swings the needle for the Knicks to be a championship contender, but it gives you insurance, right? It gives you a guy off the bench that you're going to have for a while. And then for that reason, I do think that the Knicks could be making a trade because you got DiVincenzo. He could replace Quentin Grimes. I'd be mad if it happened, but it could. These are the 4 first-round picks the Knicks have in this upcoming draft in 2024. A top 10 protected pick for the Mavs, 18 protected for the Pistons, 12 from the Wizards, and they have their own first-round pick. You saw the first-round picks just a second ago that they have in totality and how many that they could move on from. Why do I think a trade is coming? Because the time is now. The Knicks window to really build up this roster, to compete and make a lot of moves is now. And why is that? Because Jalen Brunson is on the best value contract in the NBA. And you could do 2 things when your GM gets something really right. We'll give Leon Rose a little butt tap for getting Jalen Brunson on a really cheap deal. But if you don't do anything with it, if you don't make another move and take advantage of having a top 7 point guard in the NBA on the best value deal, what does it really matter? It's almost like when you draft a rookie quarterback, like Patrick Seaman said. You have him on that cost-controlled rookie scale deal, and you see these teams go all in around that deal. It's now time for the Knicks, as they have their quarterback in Jalen Brunson on 2 years, $51 million over 2 years. That's getting paid $25.5 million over the next 2 years. The time is now to make a trade for a superstar. We'll talk about some trade ideas in a second. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I told you all about our July subscriber battle here on the channel a couple of days ago. We were in 3rd place, but we jumped up ahead 76ers now, which is awesome because they are Philly scum. But we're still losing to frickin' producer Roley in the Miami Heat report. And that is upsetting. So if you love the Knicks and you just want to be better than the Miami Heat, which, not going to lie, after the L they gave us in the playoffs, I want to beat them at everything. Hit that big red sub button and help us catch Nick Roloff in the Miami Heat report. I do believe the Knicks are still in the Paul George business. I know Alan Hahn said they are out of the Paul George business. I do not believe that. I believe that they are still going to be in that business. Why? It just makes a lot of sense. But this was the trade idea that I came up with when we were talking in the studios about some potential trades. The most I'm willing to offer for Paul George is this. R.J. Barrett, Evan Fournier. I'll give you 3 protected first-round picks. No unprotected first-round picks. I'll give you 3 protected. I'll give you that Detroit pick, which is top 18 protected. I'll give you the Washington pick, which is top 12 protected. And I will still give you the Milwaukee pick. What does this do? It allows you to have control over all of your own first-round picks, which means the Knicks could still make another move and still build through the NBA draft if they want to. RJ, Fournier, 3 protected for Paul George. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I am absolutely making that deal. And the reason is because I think this lineup right here, where you have Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, Paul George, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson, I really do believe that this is a starting 5 that could honestly win the East. And I believe a healthy Paul George in that starting lineup makes the Knicks finals contenders. And that's what we want to be. We want to be contending to be one of the best teams in the NBA while Jalen Brunson is on a cheap contract for the next 2 years. And why do I think that a healthy Paul George makes the Knicks finals contenders? It's because he's one of the best small forwards in the NBA, averaging 23.8 points per game last year, 6.1 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 45% from the deck and 37% from downtown. What Paul George does well is exactly what the New York Knicks need at that small forward position. He would fit in perfectly, like the key to your house, a seamless transition. He can be good with the ball. He can be good off the ball. He can play make. He can be a secondary playmaker to Jalen Brunson. And I understand the concerns. Injuries, 33 years old. And you may say the contract. Well, I'll say on the contrary, the contract is perfect for the New York Knicks. Why? Because if it doesn't work, you're out of the deal in 2 years. It is expected that he wants a contract extension, which I'm not too mad at for wanting to pay Paul George a longer-term deal. I understand the age, I understand the injuries, but his contract right now matches up with Jalen Brunson and his contract. More reason I think Paul George would be great is because when you look past just the points per game and the shooting percentages, he is so elite when it comes to advanced metrics. His catch and shoot 3-point percentage, 38.4% in the NBA. One of the best there is on the volume he has. He's also a guy that can create his own shot from deep. A pull-up 3-point percentage of 36%. RJ Barrett shot 31% from 3. Less than 10 feet from the basket, the dude is elite, 62%. What about the defensive side of the court? Deflections per game, 3.5, the 4th most in the NBA. And then when you talk about steals, 1.5, tied for 9th. So he's an elite catch-and-shoot player. He can create his own shot from outside. He's elite when attacking the basket, and he's one of the best defensive wings in the NBA. Let's compare those to RJ Barrett, because you might say right now, how much of an upgrade is Paul George to RJ Barrett? I know a lot of people like to give me crap for saying RJ Barrett's the guy I always want to trade. Well, the Knicks offered RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell, and they were in trade talks with the Clippers for RJ Barrett. So maybe it's not just me that wants to trade him. Catch and shoot 3-point percentage, 32%, one of the worst in the NBA on the volume he has. Pull up 3-point percentage, 19.6. Less than 10 feet from the basket, an uptick from last year, but still 10 percentage points less than Paul George. And remember, Paul George averaged 3.5 deflections per game. RJ Barrett's is 0.8. Paul George averaged 1.5 steals per game. RJ Barrett's is 0.4. I don't want to shit on RJ Barrett, but I do believe if the Knicks are serious about wanting to win a title soon, RJ Barrett for Paul George makes them on an avenue to make that more possible. So I'll ask you, should the Knicks trade RJ Barrett for Paul George? What do you think? I think they should. I know the idea is a little bit worrisome with the injuries for Paul George. I'm willing to roll that dice. I really, really am. Type T for trade, type P for pass. Should the Knicks trade RJ Barrett for Paul George? Trade idea number 2 that we talked about in the studio today is there's been a lot of talk about Karl-Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Karl-Anthony Towns to the Knicks. And this is an idea that I thought could make some sense. The Knicks get Karl-Anthony Towns, they get their backup power forward in Kyle Anderson, and you give up Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, and 1 protected first-round pick from Washington. I'm not doing this deal, to be honest with you. I would not be shocked if this deal did go down. I do think, though, if the Knicks were going to make a trade for Karl-Anthony Towns, it would have already happened. But I understand from some fans' point of view that we should move off of Julius Randle and get a center or a power forward that can stretch the floor, as Karl-Anthony Towns can do. But I honestly believe that Julius Randle, and I know I'm not a big Julius Randle fan. If you watch this show, you know that. I think Randle is better than Karl-Anthony Towns. I really do. I understand that Towns' game is probably a more seamless fit for the playoffs, but I'm going to give Randle one more year in the playoffs before I totally axe him out of this equation. When you look at what they did in 2022, Randle was better than him in almost every single metric, especially points per game and rebounds. Field goal percentage a little bit in the area to Towns. 3-point percentage right about the same. Both going to give you 4+ assists. You get more size with Towns, but I believe Randle is a tougher player, a stronger player, and not mentally weak, kind of like Karl-Anthony Towns maybe at this point. Another reason I don't want Karl-Anthony Towns on this team is because of how much money he makes. Julius Randle makes less than $30 million for 2 more seasons. I don't want to be paying Karl-Anthony Towns $50 million in 2024, or $54 million in 2025, or $58 million in 2026. And I absolutely do not want to pay him $62 million in 2027. I'll ask you, though, because I know there's some people that think Karl-Anthony Towns is better than Randle, and you're not wrong. It's just not what I would think. So I'll ask you, who is the better player right now? Is it Julius Randle? Is it Karl-Anthony Towns? Type JR for Julius Randle. Type Cat. Who is the better player right now in their NBA career? This trade idea comes from NBA Analysis, which always puts out interesting trade ideas. And in this one, they had DeMar DeRozan going from the Chicago Bulls to the New York Knicks, and the Knicks giving up Immanuel Quickley, Evan Fournier, Isaiah Hartenstein, and a first-round pick. I also would decline this deal. I've warmed up to the idea of DeMar DeRozan being a player that would actually fit a little bit with the Knicks because he could be your secondary ball handler with that bench unit. He's someone that can get to his spot, rise up, and get a bucket whenever you need it. I believe that mid-range game is always going to translate to the playoffs. I just worry a little bit about the lack of a three-point shot that he has and just the unwillingness that he has to take it because he is so dominant in that mid-range game. I mean, look, there's not a lot of people on this earth that average 25 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists on 50%. The thing that's holding me up, though, with DeMar the most is he's going to be 34 years old when the season starts, and I wouldn't call DeRozan an elite perimeter defender. Not saying he's a bad defender. I would say he's average, maybe a little bit above average, but he can't sit in a chair like Paul George and lock someone out and take him out of the game, whereas I think that would be a bigger need for him. But the main reason I'm declining that trade for the Bulls is Immanuel Quickley. And it's Immanuel Quickley, and I can't give up Quickley and a first-round pick. I think it's either Quickley and no picks or Fournier, Hartenstein, and I'll give you 2 picks. But I can't give you Quickley and picks. For that reason, I am out on this trade idea from NBA Analysis. NBA Analysis trade idea number 2. I've seen this one go around Knicks Twitter quite some time. Bojan Bogdanovic is one of the best scorers in the NBA, no doubt about it. And we all know good and well about good old Mr. Alec Burks. But am I willing to get those 2 vets at the price of RJ Barrett and a 2024 first-round pick? No, I'm not doing that. Where are these guys going to get minutes? We already have a logjam of minutes at the forward and guard spot, and you want to add another guard and another forward with only subtracting 1 player? I just wouldn't do it at this point. I can't give up a 23-year-old RJ and a first-round pick. Despite how good of an offensive player Bojan Bogdanovic is. Like, he is a professional scorer. That's what I like to call him because all he does is get frickin' buckets. 21 points, 4 rebounds, 48% from the deck, and 41% from downtown. I wanted the Knicks to trade for Bogdanovic at the trade deadline last year. I would have done Obi in a first and let him be your big, your power forward off the bench, the scorer. But I just can't do RJ Barrett in a first. And I love Alec Burks. I just don't like him playing the point guard position. And I think it'd be a good fit. I think the Knicks could use a wing that could put it on the deck. It's just not worth RJ Barrett in a first for me, no matter how good of three-point shooters those guys are. And that's what the Knicks need, another shooter. But I can't give up a 23-year-old player and a first-round pick for 2 guys that are into their 30s and don't have the best days ahead of them. Another trade idea that I cooked up in today's video, kind of just reading the tea leaves out there. The Knicks want to move on from Evan Fournier, but they don't want to do it in a deal where they have to add a bunch of assets. So what about you get a player very similar to Evan Fournier that I think would actually have minutes here for him, could play that backup small forward. You could have Josh Hart and Doug McDermott as your backup 3 and 4 in the game at the same time. And you could add 2 second-round picks to Fournier to get him. They're both on expiring deals. But I'm also declining this deal. I know I've declined 3 deals in today's show, but that's just what I'm doing as I'm in this chair right now. I don't want to add assets to a guy that I don't know how much burn he's going to get here. There's no doubt McDermott can light it up from 3, and the Knicks could use another guy from 3, no doubt about it. 10 points, 1.4 assists, 45% from the deck, and 41% from 3. The year before that, 42% from 3. The year before that, 38% from 3. And the year before that, 43% from 3. There's no doubt Doug McDermott is an elite three-point shooter. But if the only part going out in that trade for the Knicks is Evan Fournier, who doesn't play minutes, where are McDermott's minutes going to come from? Is he playing above Josh Hart at the 3? Is he sliding in for 10 minutes a game at the 3 spot? I don't hate it, but I just don't want to add 2 second-round picks to go get Doug McDermott. That would essentially mean you traded Obi Toppin and Evan Fournier for Doug McDermott, and I just don't think that's the best asset management in this position. We've gone through 5 trades in today's show. We'll do it one more time, and then I'll ask you what trade is the best. Is it trade 1, where we did this trade, where the Knicks get Paul George? They give up 3 protected first-round picks and Barrett for Paul George. If this is your favorite trade, type 1. If you want to bring Karl-Anthony Towns, Sir Purr, to New York, is it this trade? Do you want to just move off of Randle? Give up Randle, Fournier, and a protected first for 2 really good players, honestly. Towns is good, and Anderson, I think, would be good in the Tom Thibodeau system. Is this your favorite trade? Type 2. If this is your favorite trade where you want DeMar DeRozan, I want you to type 3, where the Knicks give up Quickley, Hartenstein, and a first-round pick, type 3. Or if you think the Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks trade is the best, I want you to type 4. Or if you think the Doug McDermott trade is the best, I want you to type 5 in the comment section. The trade I think is the best and most likely is Paul George. I know we've talked about him a lot on this show. It just makes so much sense, right? CAA client, elite three-point shooter, offensive creator for himself and others, and one of the best defensive players in the NBA at that wing spot. That's the guy I'm going after. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Knicks Now. If you want to yell at me because my trade ideas were stupid, you could do so over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_.